Hi, VencoreWeather.com meteorologist Paul Dorian here on Friday, February 2nd. Well, of course, Sunday is Super Bowl Sunday. Very important in this part of the nation. Lots of people have travel plans on Sunday, and unfortunately, the weather looks like it'll become a factor. There certainly is a threat of some ice, especially during the morning, midday, even in the early afternoon hours, especially to the north and west of the big cities from D.C. to Philly to New York City. Likely by late in the afternoon, it'll just be plain rain in this area as temperatures should climb to above freezing by late in the afternoon. But again, for part of the day on Sunday, ice will certainly be a factor, and that could have an impact on travel conditions. We'll take a look at the latest version, the high-resolution version of the NAM model. This is the 12Z 3-kilometer version of the NAM. We'll walk through in hourly increments all the way through the day on Sunday. And one of the things I want to focus in on is the thickness values. The thicknesses in the lower part of the atmosphere, the 1,500 millibar portion of the atmosphere, are represented on these maps by these dashed blue lines. And the thickness of that particular layer is correlated pretty well with temperatures. The lower the thickness, the lower the temperatures. And we'll be able to tell kind of a trend, a temperature trend, by looking at these the changes in the thickness values as we go forward from this afternoon, Friday afternoon, all the way into the day on Sunday, and then ultimately into the evening hours on Sunday. Here we are, 1 o'clock this afternoon. Notice thickness value right here showing up on a map. A 510 thickness. That is quite a cold air mass here. 504 thickness cutting across the northwestern part of Pennsylvania. Very cold air mass in place. In fact, later tonight, actual air temperatures will bottom out in the lower teens in many parts of the I-95 corridor. Let's start walking through in hourly increments and see what happens. Here's that 510 thickness line by later this afternoon. Basically, west to east across the Mason-Dixon line, or just south of there by late in the day today. And then we'll keep moving forward here into the early part of tonight. Notice it's kind of reached its most southern extent, starting already by early tonight to turn to the north, indicating that perhaps the coldest core of this air mass will be right on top of us early tonight. And then it starts to turn from bitter cold to just normal cold over the next 12 to 24 hours or so. And here we are by late tonight, and then early tomorrow morning, right here, we're talking now about 7 o'clock tomorrow morning. High pressure dominating the scene over the mid-Atlantic region. A dry day on Saturday, still quite cold. High temperatures struggle to reach 30 degrees in many parts of the I-95 corridor region. Sunshine will give way to increasing clouds. And let's keep moving forward. One of the important players here, that high pressure system, starts to shift to the coastline, and ultimately by tomorrow night, Saturday night, it's off the coastline. Here we are Saturday evening. Now notice the thickness value here across the D.C. metro region is 534 thickness. We've climbed from current levels around 510 in terms of that thickness value in the 1,500 millibar layer. Now here we go. Let's move now into the late Saturday night, early Sunday hours here, and some snow breaking out across central Pennsylvania. Early Sunday morning, snow represented on these particular maps from tropicaltidbits.com in blue. And here we are now, early Sunday morning, about 7 a.m. Sunday. Notice this 540 thickness line still south of D.C. That's kind of an important thickness line for meteorologists. Typically, it's a rain-snow line. Basically, it's sending us a signal that the low levels of the atmosphere will still be quite cold early Sunday morning, and lots of precipitation just to the west here, all the way down to the Gulf of Mexico. That's important. We've talked in the last few days about how the Gulf of Mexico opens up for this Sunday night event. That's important. That provides a lot of precipitation, and you still have cold air in place here. So let's move forward here. Notice also down in the south central part of the U.S. a convective looking pattern to the precipitation. Some thunderstorms. Pretty healthy system coming our way for Super Bowl Sunday. Here we are now Sunday morning. Notice a little bit of blue and a little bit of pink starting to show up. Purple or pink on these particular maps represent sleet, or freezing rain. Of course, we don't want to hear about that. And here we are. Now, here's the noon forecast map for Sunday, Super Bowl Sunday. Lots of ice starting to show up here. Snow, especially over the northeastern part of Pennsylvania, but in the D.C., Philadelphia metro region, especially to the north and west. We'll see here over the next couple of hours on these particular forecast maps. And this is, again, early afternoon now on Sunday. Lots of purple and pink all the way up, especially north and west of D.C., north and west of Philly, and just to the north of New York City. Snow farther north and west, up in the higher elevation. A good snow event coming. Upstate Pennsylvania, for example, upstate New York, certainly. Let's keep moving forward here. Then, ultimately, by late in the afternoon, all green showing up over D.C. and for the most part over Philly and New York City as well. So it looks like we'll get warm enough by later in the afternoon on Sunday for plain rain in most areas, probably the upper 30s for actual air temperatures. And then moving forward here, a slight chance that it changes back to snow, especially to the north and west of the Philly and New York City later on Sunday night before it winds down. And here we are now, early Sunday evening, basically the rain about to end here. Again, there's a slight chance it changes back to something frozen at before it ends on Sunday night. But certainly the threat for some ice on Super Bowl Sunday, especially the morning, midday, early afternoon hours, can even be some snow at the onset as well. Ultimately, later in the afternoon, it looks like it'll get far enough above freezing for just plain rain in the big cities from D.C. to Philly to New York City. That's it for now. For VencoreWeather.com, I'm meteorologist Paul Dorian.